Okay, you ready?
Can I stick this underneath? Hold on. Can I stick this?
Yeah, we're good.
Yes. There's water. Thank you.
So, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us. And I want to acknowledge and thank our great staff that is here, our city manager, Gary Halbert, our city attorney, Glenn Googans, our deputy city manager, Kelly Bacon, our chief of police, Roxanne Kennedy, and our leadership staff here at the police department and the fire department. And thank you so much, all of you first responders, for doing such a great time during this this COVID crisis and keeping our community safe. So I want to thank you today for joining us to discuss the recent developments regarding the impact of COVID-19 on our community and our collective efforts here in the South Bay. Later on, you'll be hearing from National City Mayor Alejandra Sotelo Solis, from Imperial Beach Mayor Serge Dedina, and Councilmember Vivian Moreno. We wanted to let you know that we have a strong coalition here in the South Bay, and we cooperate with each other, and we want to make sure that our South Bay can recover from this coronavirus, because as you all know, the South Bay has been impacted in greater numbers than the rest of San Diego County. So, but there is good news in this, because even though the numbers have been rising, our sacrifices for stay-at-home order has really flattened the curve and has enabled our hospitals and healthcare systems to be able to treat the patients and not be overrun by huge numbers of people becoming sick. So thank you everyone for being so compliant and following the stay-at-home orders and following all the recommendations that have been made relative to social distancing, hygiene, and just keeping disciplined on all of this. So, but the bad news is that the confirmed cases in the South Bay continue to increase, and we are really concerned about that. So to help us deal with it, the increase in the COVID-19 cases, the city of Chula Vista has decided to wearing of facial coverings mandatory while in public settings. The facial covering does not have to be a medical mask, and it can be a scarf or a bandana or a t-shirt that covers your nose and your mouth. For several weeks, essential workers and workers in essential businesses that have contact with the public have been required to wear facial coverings. But as of today, everyone in a public setting must wear a facial covering. And this means that everyone who enters a business must have a facial covering. Anyone that is on a bus or the trolley or waiting at a bus stop must wear a facial covering. And of course, the recommendation that if you leave your place, cover your face. In other words, you should wear facial coverings anytime you leave your home or encounter someone that is not within your immediate household. For the time being, the city of Chula Vista, we will have our parks closed, our libraries, our recreation centers, and City Hall will remain closed. And the stay-at-home order will stay in effect here in the city of Chula Vista until the governor lifts that order. And finally, two other actions that have been taken by the city of Chula Vista. Anyone in the city of Chula Vista that needs food and cannot get to a distribution site, call 211 or our dedicated Chula Vista phone line, which is 619-476-2417, and we will deliver food. We have members of our recreation staff now that are making those deliveries directly to the home. But once again, we want to make sure that we will not turn anyone away, but we want to make sure that the food remains for those that find it very difficult to get out to other food outlets or distribution centers. Additionally, the city is purchasing 2,000 mobile hotspots that families can check out so that our students that do not have internet access can do their schoolwork. And we are working in cooperation with the school districts to make sure that the students that need this are identified and the distribution goes to them. So I want to thank you again for showing up to the press conference and helping us spread the word. And now I'd like to introduce my colleague, National City Mayor Alejandra Sotelo Solis. Ale?
Thank you all for joining us here today. I wanted to just express my sincere gratitude to my friends and mentors, both Mayor Salas and Mayor Dedina, because we know how important it is to be as proactive as possible, as well as Councilmember Moreno, hello, to my left, and to recognize how united front and really mobilizing everyone at the same time is to overcoming this pandemic. So we wanted to just share that in the city of National City, we also too passed ordinance order on Tuesday that shared that anyone in public settings is required to wear masks or face coverings because what that is, again, to do, people are not supposed to be out and about just hanging out. They're supposed to be going to essential and running essential errands. And what we want to do is help protect our essential employees, their families, and our neighbors to the south when it comes to fighting this pandemic. And I would just echo the sentiment of Mayor Salas. These facial coverings don't have to be medical grade, but they do have to be something that covers your nose and your mouth. One thing that we wanted to share as part of our education efforts to our community service and police officers have been provided both bandanas as well as face masks. So when they do see and provide information to those community members that may not have those facial coverings, we will be providing those as a reminder. Please go and wear those facial coverings because it is now something we will be looking to enforce in National City. And so with that, the City of National City, again, requires that all individuals governed by this emergency order to wear facial coverings are personally responsible for their own compliance. And in addition, essential business owners and managers shall be responsible for assuring compliance with the above described facial covering requirements for volunteers, workers, and members of the public with their respective essential businesses. Such responsibility shall include, as necessary, refusing admission to members of the public who fail to wear those facial coverings. And again, what we have done, and I've personally taken onus, is to let those essential businesses know that they have to, per the health orders of the county, they have to put their sanitation and social distancing protocols by their front doors. They can continue to have hand sanitizer at their front doors, as well as have ways with which they clean their baskets or clean spaces that other members of the public have access to. So on behalf of the City of National City, we thank you again to my colleagues here. Juntos somos más fuertes. Together we are stronger, and we know that together we will combat this pandemic. Thank you. Did I introduce her? And now I'd like to introduce Mayor of Imperial Beach, Serge Dedina.
Thanks, Mayor Sotelo Solis. I want to thank Mayor Mary Salas and my colleague, Councilmember Vivian Moreno. What's clear is that residents of South San Diego County are suffering disproportionately from this crisis, and we want to make sure that all our residents are protected. That's why we want to thank our residents who've been rocking the stay-at-home order, rocking physical distancing, and then rocking wearing the mask. But we need to do a little bit more to get over this hump. And that little bit more means that we're going to make sure that we protect everyone who goes into a store, everyone who works at a store, all those essential businesses, so you don't get sick when you go into a grocery store. And we want to thank our business owners and people who've asked us for these measures, who've been concerned about the lack of folks in the grocery store who aren't covered. And so we want to make sure we do everything possible to protect our residents. And that's because at the southern end of the county in South San Diego and Imperial Beach, not only are we suffering disproportionately from the COVID crisis, but we have the additional crisis of cross-border pollution. And my residents, not only are they suffering from this crisis, but they smell nonstop sewage that is in the air. And that's why I'll be talking to the EPA at 1 o'clock today about getting that crisis fixed. But it's important to thank all our residents for doing the right thing. But if we continue to cover up and rock the mask, we will help get through this so we can recover. But this is going to be the new normal, so it's important that our residents do the new normal. And then finally, we've got to get that testing. We have to have testing in South County. We've got to get that contact tracing like they're doing announced in New York so we can help our residents get through this. But we have strong leadership in South County, and I want to thank my colleagues. We are united in protecting the health and safety of all our residents, all our frontline workers. And I want to thank our public safety workers, all our police officers that are here. Thank you guys. We appreciate all the work that you're doing, and we're going to protect all our residents. So with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Vivian Moreno, who's doing a great job, by the way. We appreciate everything you do for South County, especially on the pollution. And I'm going to thank, actually, Councilmember Moreno, Mayor Salas, and Mayor Sotelo Solis. They have been champions for water quality and clean beaches, and we appreciate that. They have stood up for IB, and we really thank you for that. So thank you.
So good afternoon. First and foremost, I want to thank Mayor Salas for inviting me here today during the critical time of the pandemic. I'm Council Member Vivian Moreno from the City of San Diego. I represent District 8, which includes the southern communities of San Isidro, Otay Mesa, Nestor, Edgar Highland, and Ocean View Hills. These communities in our South Bay region are experiencing a rise in confirmed cases. As of last night, there are 69 reported cases in San Isidro and 137 in Otay Mesa. The health and well-being of our residents and businesses during this outbreak continues to be our top priority, which is why we're urging everybody to continue to abide by the directives outlined by the cities, counties, and state, to stay home, with the exception of activities and working to support essential businesses. If you go out, please continue to stay 6 feet away from others, and please wear a mask. Leaving your home increases your chance of getting and spreading the virus and can lead to a spike in cases. I want to thank those who are staying at home, thereby helping to protect the vulnerable population. You're also helping our healthcare workers fight this virus and sparing many families the pain already felt by those who have lost loved ones. Self-isolation, we understand, is very challenging, but it is the right thing to do. So I want to thank my colleagues for your leadership during this very difficult time, and remember, stay home and stay safe.
So now we're going to take questions, but I do want to clarify a statement that I did make. In relationship to the bus stops, whether you were waiting for a trolley or bus, or you were on a trolley or bus, it's our recommendation at this time that you that you wear a mask while doing those activities. That's a call for the MTS board to make, but I'll be making that recommendation really soon. I know that Vivian Moreno and Alejandra Sotelo Solis sit on the MTS board with me, so we will be encouraging MTS to take that type of action right now. But for now, it's a recommendation from us, a very strong recommendation that if you're waiting for a bus, waiting for the trolley, or you board a bus or you board a trolley, that you do wear a mask. So with that, we'll take questions. Any questions? Yes, Gustavo?
Do we know why the cases are
You know, there's so many factors that can play into that, right? And that's a big question that people have been asking. Why in the South Bay? Well, I can tell you that if you look throughout the United States where the coronavirus is rampant, you'll find that it affects disadvantaged communities more than others. And so our hotspots in Chula Vista are primarily in 2 different zip codes, which happen to be places where we have more low-income people that live there, and the wages aren't that bad. But if you look at the zip codes in the eastern part or the more affluent parts of Chula Vista, you see that their numbers are on trend or even lower than some areas of San Diego County. So I think that one of the big determinants is socioeconomic circumstances. And if you've got a community that doesn't have access to health care, that doesn't have access to good nutrition, those people are more vulnerable because many of those people are suffering from pre-existing conditions.
And if I could add, Mayor
Yes,
Salas, many of our employees, sorry, I would just add that many of our residents are essential workers. So they have not had time off. They have not been at home as many people have had the luxury to do. So they are the ones that are going to and filling the grocery stores. They are the ones that are cleaning and maintaining the hospital with the hospital staff. So that also too has an element as well. Thank you.
Just to clarify the order, is this like the people, they gotta have the mask on when they go into essential businesses, or is it like once they leave the home, they've gotta have them on?
Whenever they are in a public place. So if they are going to be encountering a number of people on the sidewalks, then they should be wearing that mask. If you're just going outside to pick up the paper, no, you don't have to wear a mask when you're doing that. But, it's common sense. Whenever you're walking around and you're going to encounter people, you should be wearing that mask. And I've got to tell you, wearing a mask is an act of love. It's an act of love for not only yourself, but your family and your community. You're protecting yourself, but you're protecting your community as well. So I know it's a pain, but you do get used to having your mask with you. And if you've got a nice, comfy cotton one like I do that was homemade, then that's really cool too.
Are the cities looking at fines, right?
Yes, we are, because we are going to enforce this. It's for there are only a few really knuckleheads out there, and I will call them knuckleheads. But we do need to protect our public, and as Ale said, as the mayor of National City said, our community, or I think it was Serge, our communities are demanding this. You cannot believe the number of communications I get every day about people concerned that they're being exposed to the virus because their neighbors are not wearing masks, or they're encountering a lot of people in stores that are not doing it. And I feel fearful when I go into a store. A lot of our stores are doing a great job of social distancing and limiting the number of people that go into their stores. But there have been some situations where I've been into some mom and pops where that's not happening, and we have to resort to enforcement. Yes.
How long out are the fines? Is that something still?
Excuse me?
So when fines are gonna begin, or how
Yeah,
much they
what are
will
the
be?
penalties?
Oh, what are the penalties? Let's see. Can anybody speak to the penalties? I think they're up to $1,000, but we're going to give warnings. We're not going to be draconian, but people there has to be an education phase. So the first thing that we want to do is to educate the public as why it's important. We don't want to be draconian, but we want people to exercise common sense and concern for others in their vicinity.
I've got 2 questions. Hi, Bruce from Channel 8, from our reporter Brandon Lewis. Is there anything that your region needs from the county that you're not getting?
Yes, testing. Absolutely. And I know that next week, the 4 of us actually are going to meet with Supervisor Cox next Wednesday, because we want to know what the plan is. We want to know when the testing is coming, and we want to know where it's being administered and what population is being served. So we can't get out of this without not only the testing and the tracking, and it's something that I know that Mayor Serge Dedina is really passionate about, but at this point we're losing our patience. The South Bay is losing our patience because we want answers, and we want to know specifically what's being done on the county and the state level to protect our citizens.
And Brandon's been doing stories about Tijuana, and his question is, without my glasses, Mexico is having an impact, such as Americans who live in Mexico and seek care in South Bay.
That's right, because we have a lot of expatriates that live in Rosarito, Ensenada, and they're American citizens that have retired in Baja California, and they receive their medical care here. And conversely, we have a lot of companies that have HMOs that contract with Mexican providers in Mexico. So we have a lot of American workers that actually go to Mexico for health care as well. So it's a probability that our proximity to the border has some impact, but we don't have the data as to know how big that impact is. Yes, yes. So we have Chief Kennedy here to answer the enforcement question.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Oops, you don't want to lose that mask. That's worth some money right now. I just wanted to take a moment to explain to you that our goal in Chula Vista is not to make things more challenging or more difficult for our community. We are extremely sensitive to all the challenges that everyone is facing right now. When we go out as a law enforcement entity and go out into our community, when we receive complaints, and we have received in less than 1 month 460 complaints from our community in regards to problem locations or individuals that haven't been complying. We warn them. We give them an opportunity to comply. And I have to tell you, 99.9% of the time, our community has complied. We are all in this together. We have given out 207 warnings to individuals that are documented, and that if we get a repeat call, then they will receive a citation. But that is not our goal right now. We really want the community to realize that this is a challenge for all of us. We all need to unite and work together and continue to keep Chula Vista one of the safe communities that it is, and help make sure that we don't have additional cases. I understand that there will be testing sites that will be coming forth. I assume that our numbers will go up as we test individuals, but the goal is to make sure that we're not infecting any other individuals, and that we continue to be on the road to recovery. And I know that everyone in the city of Chula Vista is going to rally around our businesses. I know the same from National City and San Diego. We'll all come together as we get through this and help everyone who's been challenged through this. So this is not to frighten people. It's not to create more anxiety. This is so that we can all be on the same page and encourage people to wear masks. That's one of the things that will really help us not infect individuals, as well as social distancing. And be patient and try to do things at home right now so you don't have to go out into the community. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Anything else? No, with that, I want to thank you again, and I want to repeat the sentiments of Chief Roxanne Kennedy, that we are doing this because we want to protect the citizens of Chula Vista, and we know how under pressure they are, especially our families with young children that are, not only do the parents have to worry about income coming in, going to their jobs, but now they bear a larger responsibility for the education of their children. And it's a really stressful time, but we do want to let you know collectively here that the leaders of South Bay are doing everything that we can do to protect our community and be proactive about it. And so we certainly wish everyone well. We want to thank everyone for their cooperation, because, as Chief Kennedy said, it's more of a, it's the majority of the people in Chula Vista and our surrounding communities here are following the stay-at-home orders, are keeping their distance from people, are wearing masks, are practicing hygiene. So thank you very much for your cooperation. Together we'll get through this together, and we just have to hang strong, keep the discipline up, and we'll get through it. So thank you very much.
I feel like there should be like a round of applause or a mask. All right, put your mask on.